like and subscribe. Everybody talks about the forefathers of this country, blah, blah this, blah, blah that. But if the forefathers of this country were alive today, they would be so proud of their sons and daughters. Because the United States was never a democracy. It was always a plutocracy. Always has been, and if things don't change, always will be. And what is a plutocracy? Rich people running the country. When the United States was established, who could vote? Only rich white men. That was it. That's a plutocracy. And they owned land. Land was their corporation. That's what they owned. And they ran this place. And be perfectly truthful with you, nothing's changed. We've tried to make change, but every time we try to make change, they figure out a way to keep that plutocracy intact, even if they had to execute a few people. And when you look at South America, South America is nothing but a colony of the United States of America. And if they try to elect a, a democratically elected person in South America, will be executed by the CIA. I mean, that's been, and then it's not like they're keeping it, it's not like it's a secret. We use them for cheap labor. We brought Mexicans in during World War One and World War Two to pick fruit. A few of them stayed. Now we're building a fence to try to keep to keep them out. The United States created the economic devastation and the political unrest in South America. And then those people run up here to get away from what we did to them. And Trump wants to build a gate. Everybody wants to build a gate to keep them out. We want to exploit them, but not, and keep them in their place. Just the same way the United States wants to keep African Americans in our place. And we have been a thorn in their side because we got civil rights and the right to vote, which is something they did not want. But there's a power struggle in the United States between the Democrats and the Republicans. And that was why the Supreme Court upheld the voting rights bill. Because it was because the Democrats need that black vote. If the Democrats didn't need the black vote, then they would gut it. And what about slavery? Let's talk about slavery. Slavery, the Civil War was about slavery. But understand this, the Civil War actually started 4 years before Lincoln called it a civil war, because there were already skirmishes going on out west, and the the fight for slavery started 4 years before, and there were military conflicts. And so all Lincoln did was just admit that there was a war going on. That's all he did. But let's look at it from the economic standpoint. From an economic standpoint, it was about the South financially controlling the United States with free labor, the slaves. The North could not compete with that on an industrialized basis. They couldn't compete. Even with child labor, the North could not compete with free labor. And that had a lot to do with the impetus for the Civil War. Power struggle, economic power struggle. And although the South could basically outspend the North, they could not defeat the North because of slaves. They were outgunned, outmanned because of slaves. And slaves had more to fight for. It was their freedom they were fighting for. So the South lost, and the South was Democrat. Understand, the South were Democrats. The North was Republican. So the South, the Democratic Party, had to figure out a way to stay on top. And they did. And they did a great job of doing on top, staying on top. Because even today, Bill Clinton masterminded the destruction of the black family. And when you look at the legislation created by the Democratic Party, it's the worst thing that could happen to the worst thing that could happen to African Americans. And it was the Democrats who did it. The Democrats are kind of like a sly snake. I mean, you think they're doing this for you, they're giving you this, they're giving you that, but in the end run, they got a 20 in the long run, they got a plan for you. And they fooled, they fooled me. They fooled me. Welfare. Okay, we got civil rights and we got voting rights. But then what did Democrats do? Threw that welfare in there. Now you don't need your husband. We're going to give you welfare as long as he's not there. You can have as many kids as you want, but you cannot have a father there. So see, back in the 60s, black women were told you don't need a man before feminism even hit. And when the social worker came by your house, if a man was there, his clothes or anything was there, you were kicked off welfare. That's the way that went. And then we come on up here to Bill Clinton. It was just giving away money, giving away money. The more kids, then all of a sudden Clinton said, ho, 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 wait a minute. Wait a minute. You got to work. You women, you got to work for this welfare money at a minimum wage to keep your medical benefits and this little bit of chump change coming in for food and stuff. So in essence, only thing they did was subsidize corporations. Now, you don't need to raise the minimum wage. If you can pay somebody $7 an hour or whatever it was, and then the government subsidizes them the rest of the way and gives them hospitalization and gives them money for food and gives them some kind of stipend for a daycare, boom. Now you got a cheap labor force. Democrats. And all the time, we thought they were our friend because LBJ signed the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act. He signed both of those. So all of a sudden, black people, we're going to switch over to Democrat. But guess what? We should have stayed with Republicans because Republicans screwed everybody. Republicans really were non-racist. They screwed everybody. Everybody. Because Republicans, even to this day, they're about doing one thing, making money. Making money. And so Trump, he was a Democrat at first, switched to Republican, played on the racist, pretending to be racist so he can make money. I mean, the easiest way to be a politician, I mean, DeSantis is trying to do the same goofy thing. Play on racism. Because racist, two things has been a winning number in the United States. Money and racism. If you about stealing money and you're a racist, you can go to the top in America. You can go to the top. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the forefathers would be so proud of the United States. I mean, because let's face it. They call black people 3/5 of a man. They came in murdering Native Americans, and they were slave owners. I mean, if the United States was any different than what it is right now, they'd be upset. But I'm gonna tell you this: they would, if the South was smart, they take down all the General Lee statues and put Bill Clinton up there. Put Bill Clinton up there. He was the mastermind. They would love him. Because I'm going to tell you, he made a fool out of me. Clinton made a fool out of me. You would swear up and down he loved black people. But what he did to black people was horrible. And all the time he was doing it, smiling. Smiling his heart out. So with that being said, everybody like and subscribe. Have a nice day.